Welcome back. 12-year-old Archie Battersbee died on the 6th of August after being taken off life support after a protracted legal battle that we all know about. His mum, Hollie, campaigned long and hard to keep her son on a ventilator since an accident at home on April the 7th. So we're going to talk about the accident, we're going to talk about the ending, we're going to talk about what's next for Hollie Dance. We say good morning to her. Hollie, I would love to say lovely to see you, but it's an interview I didn't want to do, but we're here, and I do want to meet you and see you after the announcement of Archie's passing. And you faced those cameras and you faced them with immense dignity.
Thank you.
But I suppose you had to. You had no alternative, had you?
No, definitely not. I was fighting, obviously, for Archie's life. Everything else comes second, doesn't it? Your child's your priority.
Could I ask you what it was like at the end? I mean, it must have been so awful for you because 1 minute the life support was going to be withdrawn, then it wasn't, then you had more time, then you had less time, then you had more time again. Then the time actually had to come where somebody, I don't know who, literally had to pull a plug or flick a switch.
It was very tense. The anxiety, obviously, it's literally like walking on eggshells, you know. I think that last day we actually filed 3 applications in total.
How can you do all of that, yet at the same time be waiting for your son to leave life?
I think
you're busy, and then you have to stand and grieve and hold his hand, and then you have to run to a telephone again, or...
obviously, I was by Archie's bedside, so my phone's there. We did the call, the last case, via Zoom, so I was there with Archie. I don't think you can explain how it feels to anybody, really. It's something that only people, obviously, that are going through it at the time will know or understand exactly how it feels. It's your worst nightmare.
How are you now? How are you dealing in the 2 weeks that have passed?
Keeping busy. I think that is going to be my way of dealing with it, and fighting as hard as I can to get some sort of change in law so parents and people don't have to go through this. You know, we was backed into a corner by the system and stripped totally of our rights, and there's been another baby, his life support was withdrawn 2 days after Archie. There's another case that was in court yesterday. I believe the father collapsed again. It's the stress placed on us by the system. It's something that's got to change.
And the indignity of it, I mean, you want some sort of dignity.
Massive indignity.
Through this. So what happens from here on in? What are you looking to change? What can you change?
Well, that's obviously... We've written to the Health Secretary, so moving forward to see what we can change. I think the whole thing that you're rushed into court, that's got to change. That has to change, you know. I know...
But they'll want it to change as well. Do you feel that authority finds you and people like you an inconvenience? Most
definitely. Definitely. And I think the whole word best interest in court should be changed to best convenience, because it's got nothing to do with the best interest of the child involved. I don't believe it has. As they kept saying, Archie was brain dead, he had no feelings, therefore he had no best interests.
Well, you and I talked about this, and you felt he had feelings, and you could feel his hand.
Most definitely.
You could feel the suppleness of his hand and his arm.
The warmth.
All those sort of things. Nothing I'm going to say, nothing you're going to say is going to bring that beautiful young lad back. And he was beautiful. I keep saying this every time I see him. Just a beautiful, angelic looking boy. But is this what's keeping you going?
Most definitely. I refuse to grieve for Archie's life. I am so honoured and feel his whole life was an absolute pleasure. I'm so honoured to have been Archie's mum, so I refuse to grieve. I'm more celebrating Archie's life. It was the best 12 years of my life.
Well, could we talk about what led to this situation? And if you go
Yes.
back to April, and often I find people aren't talking about this. Do you mind talking to me about what he did, or what you think that he did that put him in this situation?
Okay, so what we believe that Archie's done is possibly copy an online challenge, and these online challenges are serious. I've stated quite a few times, they're grooming our children. You know, these are adults that children look up to. Children don't look at adults and think for 1 minute they're going to put us in danger. I have obviously started researching and absolutely horrified to watch grown men putting things around their neck, showing these children.
Showing children what to do, and you feel that Archie copied this, entered into this challenge?
Yes, I do.
And will there be any progression on this front? Will there be any opportunity to track down someone who was at the other end of this, or prosecute them, or bring them to justice?
I haven't really thought about the prosecution side. I think it's a hard thing because a lot of people obviously blame the parents, you know, you should be monitoring your children, it's a blah, blah, blah. At the end of the day, we cannot watch our children 24/7. Archie's 12 years old. I'm pretty much behind Archie, was behind Archie 24/7, you know. There are times when they do require their own privacy or they want their own time out. And again, you can't always target the apps that are obviously doing these. Maybe a bit more needs to be done with regards to prosecuting the people who are actually demonstrating the videos,
sure.
You know, because they're obviously who the children are copying.
There's two things I want to ask you or say to you before we say goodbye. And one is, what would you say to the parents of young impressionable children who spend a lot of their time online? What would you say to those parents who would say, oh, he or she, they're up there on that computer, I don't know what they're doing? Just
have the talk with them. I think have the talk and make it very clear, you know, that there are dangers. You know, I was forever telling Archie, you know, because he used to hide in pillowcases and things, and that used to give me anxiety. Don't put things over your head, don't put things around your neck, you know, is just keep reinforcing the dangers and what could happen. Use Archie in the conversation, you know, this is what happened to this little boy, because he thought 1 minute he was mucking around, he had his whole life ahead of him, and look what's happened, you know, and look how sad his family are, because he chose to copy something that has left him in this situation.
We all know him because we know him through pictures on television and hearing reports on radio and things about him, and we know him through you. But we don't know him. We don't know him at all. Could you finally leave us with who Archie was, who he is, and how he'll live on with you?
Oh, he will forever live on, Archie. He's an absolute legend. He wanted to be a champion, and I believe he's gone out champion.
Champion what?
At anything? He's just a champion. He's my little champion, and I think he's left an impact on everybody, and hopefully prevent a lot of people or a lot of children copying the same thing. He's brilliant. I love him to bits. He's brilliant.
And you're going to be his champion forever.
Thank you.
So sorry.
Thank you.
Hollie Dance, Archie Battersbee's mum.